Doug McClure was the kind of actor who seemed built for friendship, charismatic, easygoing, and endlessly likable. He was the guy everyone wanted to work with. Yet behind that sunny public persona was a deep, private bitterness, one he carried toward a single man more than anyone else. Doug McClure's life was a story of reinvention, from a young athlete in Southern California to one of television's most beloved cowboys. His name became synonymous with adventure and warmth, yet he harbored resentment that few understood. That resentment was directed at the Virginian co-star, James Drury. The pair were inseparable on screen, but off-screen, their relationship was fractured, tense, and bitter. McClure's hatred wasn't born from petty jealousy alone. It came from feeling undervalued, misunderstood, and trapped in a role that defined him while refusing to let him grow. In the end, McClure's life reveals a truth about fame. It can build you up and slowly tear you apart. Early life, the making of a cowboy icon. Doug McClure was born Douglas Osborne McClure on May 11, 1935 in Glendale, California. His parents were an unlikely combination of technical precision and artistic grace. His father, an aviation engineer, his mother, a professional pianist. He grew up in post-war Southern California, a landscape full of sun, motion, and possibility. As a young man, McClure was athletic and curious, drawn to music, theater, and sports. He attended UCLA with plans to study geology, but his striking looks and magnetic presence soon led him toward acting. He switched his focus, embracing the world of performance with the same dedication he'd once given to science. His early career was marked by small roles and guest appearances, but he never lost his drive. It wasn't until the early 1960s that he found the role that would define him. In an industry filled with tough, silent heroes, McClure brought a fresh kind of charm, warm, witty, and deeply human. The rise to stardom, from bit parts to national fame. McClure's early television work included shows like Death Valley Days and Maverick, where he proved he could handle both drama and humor. But it was in 1962 that his life changed. He was cast as Trampas in NBC's The Virginian, a role that made him a household name. The series was one of the longest-running westerns in television history, and McClure stayed with it for all 9 seasons. Trampas wasn't a typical cowboy. He was mischievous, compassionate, and full of life. His charm was effortless, and audiences fell in love with him. McClure's performance made Trampas a hero without the need for violence or bitterness. The role allowed him to showcase his wit and warmth, qualities that weren't common in Western sidekicks at the time. It was this blend of strength and sensitivity that made him a symbol of a changing genre, one that was beginning to embrace complexity over simple bravado. The Virginian, a breakthrough role and a hidden rivalry. The Virginian was more than a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon. McClure's Trampas became an icon, and the show's popularity made him a star. Yet, despite his popularity, the series was clearly built around James Drury's title character. Drury received top billing and was framed as the moral center of the story. McClure's role, while beloved, was still that of the sidekick. For a man as ambitious and talented as McClure, that hierarchy was difficult to accept. He believed he brought heart, humor, and personality to the series, and he wanted the recognition to match. As the show grew, so did his resentment. What began as a small irritation turned into a deep and lasting dislike for Drury. McClure felt overshadowed, and he blamed Drury for the show's structure. He saw Drury's seriousness as pretentious and controlling, and the two clashed behind the scenes. What viewers saw as friendly camaraderie was, in reality, a carefully maintained professional facade. The man behind the role, warmth and complexity. Despite the rivalry with Drury, McClure remained widely beloved in Hollywood. He was known for being generous with fans, gracious with co-stars, and humble despite his fame. He was a man who rarely took himself seriously, always ready with a joke or a laugh. This public persona masked a private struggle, the pressure of being defined by one character. McClure's charm and boyish enthusiasm made him a natural leading man, yet he was trapped in the role that made him famous. Even as he appeared youthful on screen, he felt his career was stagnating. He was a talented actor who wanted to be more than a lovable cowboy sidekick. Yet the public's love for Trampas was both his greatest gift and his greatest curse. He continued to work, taking roles in film and television that showcased his versatility, but the shadow of Trampas never fully left him. The cult years, science fiction, and adventure films. After The Virginian ended in 1971, McClure transitioned into a second career in adventure and science fiction films. He starred in a series of British-produced films by Kevin Connor, including The Land That Time Forgot, 1975, At the Earth's Core, 1976, and The People That Time Forgot, 1977. These films were campy, pulpy, and wildly imaginative, yet McClure's performances brought sincerity and charm to every role. They may not have been high art, but they won him a new fan base and a lasting cult following. In these films, he was the brave hero stranded in prehistoric or mythical worlds, facing dinosaurs, monsters, and ancient civilizations. His willingness to embrace the absurd and commit fully to the adventure showed a genuine love for acting. While critics often dismissed the films, audiences loved them, and McClure's name became associated with a unique brand of nostalgic, thrilling entertainment, a legacy in pop culture. From The Simpsons to Red Dwarf, McClure's impact extended far beyond his filmography. His name became a symbol of a certain kind of Hollywood, rugged, charming, and slightly over the top. This influence was immortalized when The Simpsons introduced Troy McClure, a character voiced by Phil Hartman. The character was a parody and homage to both Doug McClure and Troy Donahue, an exaggerated version of the charming but shallow Hollywood leading man. McClure reportedly found the tribute amusing, understanding it as affectionate satire. The British sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf also referenced him, using his name as a joke about campy adventure films. In one episode, a character grimly asks if they should expect a herd of flesh-eating dinosaurs feeding off the bones of Doug McClure. In another, a character apologizes for the movie selection, saying, "It is another Doug McClure. Please don't hit me." These jokes reflected the enduring legacy of McClure's persona, proving that his impact on popular culture lasted long after his death. The rivalry, why McClure truly hated Drury. The truth about McClure's hatred for James Drury lies in the dynamics of The Virginian. Drury was the lead, the moral center, the star. McClure was the beloved sidekick, loved by audiences, but never truly given the central position he believed he deserved. This imbalance created tension. McClure saw Drury's seriousness as coldness and control. Drury, for his part, reportedly disliked McClure's on-set antics and believed they disrupted the professionalism of the show. McClure felt Drury actively influenced scripts and scenes to minimize Trampas's role, which he interpreted as jealousy. Over time, these small conflicts hardened into resentment. Crew members often felt caught in the middle, watching two talented men clash. McClure's anger grew as he watched the show's success reinforce the structure he resented. He began to believe that Drury was the one obstacle keeping him from being seen as a true leading man. Their relationship never recovered, and even after the show ended, their interactions remained cold and distant. Final years: illness, determination, and a legacy of love. In the mid-1990s, McClure was diagnosed with lung cancer, a battle he kept mostly private. Even as his health deteriorated, he continued to work. In January 1995, he was filming One West Waikiki in Hawaii when he collapsed on set, suffering what appeared to be a stroke. He was rushed to a hospital and flown back to Los Angeles, where doctors discovered the cancer had metastasized to his liver and bones. The diagnosis was terminal. McClure died on February 5, 1995, at the age of 59, surrounded by family and close friends. He was married to his fifth wife, Diane Sani, who remained by his side through his final days. Though his life was marked by personal challenges and rivalries, he remained beloved by fans and colleagues. His dedication to acting, even in the face of death, showed the depth of his passion. He left behind a legacy of warmth, adventure, and enduring charisma. Outro. The cowboy who couldn't forget Doug McClure's life was built on charm, humor, and a relentless love for the craft of acting. Yet his story also reveals the cost of fame when it becomes a cage. Trampas made him famous, but also trapped him in a role he could never fully escape. His hatred for James Drury was not simply rivalry, it was the pain of being overshadowed, the frustration of feeling undervalued, and the bitterness of seeing his own talent confined. Yet McClure remained a beloved figure, admired for his humility and professionalism. His legacy lives on in the warmth of The Virginian, the cult adventures of the 1970s, and the jokes that still echo in pop culture today. In the end, he was a man who gave everything to his work, and even his resentment could not erase the joy he brought to millions of viewers. Doug McClure will always be remembered as the cowboy who smiled through it all, even when he hated the man standing beside him.